There is a quiet belief most of us grow up with, long before we ever question it. A belief so familiar that it feels natural, almost invisible. The belief that this life belongs to us. From a young age, we are taught to say, my home, my money, my achievements. Over time, that sense of ownership spreads further. It reaches into our memories, our thoughts, our roles in society, and even the story we tell ourselves about who we are. Without realizing it, we begin to carry an unspoken sentence inside our mind. This is me. This is my life. And because this feeling is so deeply rooted, we rarely stop to ask where it came from. You may feel it when you think about everything you have worked so hard to build, the relationships you invested in, the identity you shaped through effort, sacrifice, and time. Letting go of any part of it can feel terrifying, not because of loss alone, but because it feels like losing yourself. This fear is rarely spoken out loud, yet it quietly shapes the way we live. We hold on tightly, believing that possession equals security and control equals safety. We tell ourselves that if we loosen our grip, everything we value might slip away. But beneath that belief lies a deeper pain, the fear of becoming nothing without what we hold. The fear that without our roles, our memories, or our achievements, there may be no solid me left behind. This is where the journey truly begins. Not with rejection of life, but with a gentle question. What if the feeling of ownership we rely on is not the source of our strength, but the root of our suffering? And what might change if we dared to look at it honestly? If there is anything we believe belongs to us completely, it is the body we live in. We speak of it as mine, my strength, my health, my appearance. And yet, the body quietly challenges that belief every single day. You did not choose its shape, its height, or the way it would change over time. You did not decide how quickly it would age, when it would weaken, or which illnesses it might face. You can care for it, protect it, and treat it with attention. Yet it continues to change in ways you cannot command. If this body were truly under your control, why can you not tell it to remain strong forever? Why can you not order it to stay young, pain-free, and untouched by time? This question touches a deep and often unspoken fear. The fear of growing weaker, the fear of losing independence, the fear that one day, the body will no longer respond the way it once did. Many people experience this quietly. They feel frustration when the body slows down. They feel anxiety when energy fades or pain appears without warning, and beneath it all lies a sense of helplessness, as if something essential is slowly slipping beyond reach. The body becomes a daily reminder that control is limited, not because we failed, but because it was never fully ours to command in the first place. Seeing this clearly can feel unsettling, yet it also opens the door to a deeper understanding, one that does not come from force, but from acceptance. If the body challenges our sense of control, the mind challenges it even more quietly. Thoughts appear without asking. They arrive uninvited, linger briefly, and disappear again, often replaced by something entirely different. Some thoughts feel pleasant and comforting. Others are disturbing, heavy, or unwanted. Yet none of them wait for your permission to arise. You cannot summon a specific thought on command, and you cannot force an unwelcome one to leave the moment it appears. This is where many people begin to suffer in silence. They sit alone with a restless mind and feel exhausted by the constant movement inside. They try to calm it, discipline it, or silence it, only to feel frustrated when it refuses to cooperate. Over time, this leads to self-blame. If I were stronger, my mind would be calmer. If I were more disciplined, I would think differently. But the deeper pain lies in misunderstanding. The mind is treated as something we should fully control, even though it has never functioned that way. Thoughts behave more like weather than commands. They pass through, shaped by conditions we often cannot see. Recognizing this does not mean giving up. It means releasing the unfair burden of control we place on ourselves. The exhaustion begins to soften when we realize that the mind's restlessness is not a personal failure, but a natural process, unfolding moment by moment. When we sense that life is unstable, The instinct to hold tighter feels natural. We cling to people, roles, memories, and expectations, believing that grip will keep everything intact. Yet the opposite often happens. Relationships begin to strain under the weight of control. Conversations feel tense. Love quietly turns into fear of loss. Instead of connection, there is pressure to maintain what once felt alive and effortless. Much of this clinging is driven by the desire to keep life whole, to preserve moments as they were, to stop change from touching what we care about most. This creates a hidden daily struggle. The effort to manage, protect, and maintain becomes exhausting. Many people live with the constant feeling of bracing themselves, afraid that if they relax even slightly, everything will fall apart. The fear is not irrational. It comes from caring deeply. But clinging asks us to live in tension, always guarding against loss. And so the irony reveals itself. What we hold too tightly becomes fragile. What we try hardest to protect begins to fracture under the weight of our grip. The struggle is not a lack of effort, but too much of it. Clinging does not happen only because of habit or belief. It is reinforced by the brain itself. When something feels like mine, the brain responds with a sense of reward and comfort. Ownership produces a subtle pleasure, an illusion of safety. This is why attachment forms so easily. The mind learns to associate possession with stability, even when the object itself holds little value. A small, ordinary item can suddenly feel important, not because of what it is, but because it carries the label of mine. When that object is lost, the pain can feel surprisingly intense. People often feel confused by this reaction. Why does something so small affect me so deeply? The discomfort is not weakness. It is the brain reacting to a perceived threat to identity. Objects, roles, and symbols quietly become extensions of how we see ourselves. When they disappear, it feels as though something inside us has been taken away. Understanding this mechanism brings compassion rather than judgment. Letting go is difficult not because we lack strength, but because the mind has been trained to equate holding on with being safe. Seeing this clearly is the first step toward loosening the grip gently, without force. There is an old story of a powerful king who believed his vast kingdom belonged to him alone. His lands were wide, his influence unquestioned, and his wealth beyond measure. Yet one day, a wise teacher asked him a single, quiet question. Bending down, the teacher picked up a grain of sand and held it in his palm. "Can you take even this with you when you leave this world?" The king had no answer. That moment cut deeper than any accusation. It revealed a truth many of us avoid looking at. No matter how much we accumulate, nothing travels with us beyond this life. Power fades, wealth shifts hands, titles dissolve into memory. For the listener, this realization can feel deeply unsettling. If nothing lasts, what was the point of all that effort? Why spend years building, saving, protecting, and competing? The discomfort comes not from the truth itself, but from what it threatens to undo. A lifetime of meaning built around possession, a sense of purpose tied to accumulation. Facing this can feel frightening. It asks us to question the foundation we have been standing on for years. Yet within that fear lies clarity. The question is not whether we will lose what we gather, but whether we are willing to see it honestly before it slips away on its own. Imagine a monkey reaching into a jar filled with food. It grabs a handful, but its clenched fist can no longer fit through the opening. The monkey panics, struggling desperately to escape. The jar is not locked. Nothing is holding the monkey there except its refusal to let go. In many ways, the mind behaves the same way. We cling to people, to memories, to identities we have built over time. We hold tightly to who we believe we are, afraid that releasing any part of it will leave us empty. This misunderstanding creates quiet suffering. We believe letting go means losing something essential, so we keep gripping, even as the strain grows heavier. Over time, this produces a sense of being trapped. Life feels narrow, options seem limited, and the question arises, why have I been stuck like this for so long? The pain does not come from the jar. It comes from the clenched fist. No one is imprisoning us. We are simply holding on to what no longer fits. Freedom begins not with escape, but with the willingness to open the hand. The moment something becomes mine, fear quietly follows. At first, ownership feels reassuring. It promises stability, importance, and safety. But beneath that comfort, a subtle anxiety begins to grow. The more we believe something belongs to us, the more we worry about losing it. Possessions can be taken, people can leave, status can change. This creates a background tension many people live with every day. A constant checking, a constant guarding, a constant readiness for loss. For some, this fear shows up at night. Sleep becomes shallow. The mind replays possibilities of what might go wrong. For others, it appears during the day as restlessness, a feeling of never fully being at ease. Living this way is exhausting. The body remains alert. The mind stays on watch. Peace feels distant, as if it belongs to someone else. And yet, this fear is not a flaw. It is the natural consequence of tying our sense of safety to things that cannot be held forever. Seeing this clearly is not meant to frighten us, but to gently point toward another way of living, one that does not depend on constant vigilance. Clinging rarely looks harmful at first. It often disguises itself as care, responsibility, or love. But over time, love mixed with fear slowly turns into control. A parent may watch their child closely, correcting every choice, guiding every step, believing this constant grip will keep them safe. Yet the child begins to feel confined rather than supported. What started as protection quietly becomes pressure. The same pattern appears in romantic relationships. One partner seeks constant reassurance, attention, or certainty. They monitor words, moods, and distance, not out of cruelty, but out of fear of loss. Love becomes a demand rather than a gift. For the one who clings, the pain is deeply confusing. They want to love fully, yet feel responsible for the growing distance. They sense the other pulling away, even though the intention was never to hurt. This is the hidden cost of attachment. The tighter we hold, the less space remains for trust and growth. Connection weakens not because love disappears, but because fear suffocates it. Many listeners recognize this struggle quietly. They care deeply, yet feel they are somehow pushing others away. They wonder why closeness turns into tension, and warmth turns into silence. Understanding this does not require blame. It requires seeing that love thrives in freedom, not possession. When grip replaces openness, even the strongest bond begins to strain. Beyond objects and relationships, we cling to something even more subtle: the idea of who we believe we are. I am this kind of person. I have always been strong. This is just how I am. These statements feel grounding, yet they quietly form invisible walls. They define what we allow ourselves to feel, change, or become. Over time, identity becomes a role we must protect. Fear hides beneath this attachment. Fear of changing and losing recognition. Fear of admitting weakness and feeling exposed. Many people suffer silently here. They sense growth calling them forward, yet feel trapped by the image they have maintained for years. They believe they are not allowed to be different, uncertain, or vulnerable. This creates a deep internal conflict. Life moves, but the self-image stays rigid. The result is tension, frustration, and a feeling of being stuck inside one's own story. The prison has no bars, no locks, and no guards. It exists only through belief, and yet, it can feel more confining than any physical boundary. Control promises safety, but rarely delivers it. The more we try to manage every detail of life, the more tired we become. The mind stays alert, always scanning for potential loss. The body remains tense, bracing for what might go wrong next. Even moments of rest feel incomplete, as if relaxation itself is unsafe. Many people live this way without realizing it. They wake up already worried. They move through the day anticipating problems. At night, the mind refuses to settle. This constant vigilance drains joy from ordinary moments. Laughter feels brief. Peace feels fragile. Nothing is ever fully enjoyed because something might be taken away. The exhaustion is not dramatic. It is quiet, steady, and deeply wearing. Over time, enthusiasm fades, and life feels more like a task than an experience. Control was never meant to carry this weight. It cannot offer lasting security because life itself is not fixed. Recognizing this is not defeat. It is the beginning of rest, the moment we stop demanding certainty from a world that cannot provide it. Letting go is often misunderstood. Many people hear the words and imagine rejection, distance, or giving up on life. But true letting go is not abandonment. It is the simple act of putting a heavy burden down. For a long time, you may not even realize how much you are carrying. The effort to hold things together, the tension of protecting what matters, the constant readiness to defend, fix, or preserve. When that grip softens, something unexpected happens. The body relaxes. The breath deepens. For the first time in a long while, there is space inside. Nothing important disappears. Life does not fall apart. You are not asked to stop caring or loving. You are only invited to stop forcing. This is where relief enters quietly, not as excitement, but as ease. The kind of ease that feels unfamiliar at first, because you have lived without it for so long. Letting go does not remove responsibility. It removes unnecessary strain. And in that release, many people discover something they have been missing: the ability to rest without guilt and to be present without fear. When ownership loosens, love changes its shape. It becomes less about holding on and more about showing up, less about possession and more about presence. Loving without grasping creates space for both people to breathe. There is room for growth, change, and individuality. Connection deepens because it is no longer driven by fear. This kind of love does not demand constant reassurance. It does not collapse when distance appears. Instead, it trusts the bond rather than trying to control it. Many listeners long for this quietly. They want closeness without anxiety. They want intimacy without the constant fear of loss. When love is freed from ownership, it becomes lighter. Both sides feel less guarded. Both feel safer to be honest, imperfect, and real. Paradoxically, this openness strengthens connection. What is not forced tends to stay. What is allowed to move freely often returns on its own. Love, when unburdened by possession, becomes an experience rather than a risk. Letting go does not begin with dramatic change. It begins with awareness. There is a simple practice that helps reveal where the mind is holding too tightly. Throughout the day, gently observe what arises: a thought, an emotion, a reaction. Instead of pushing it away or clinging to it, silently remind yourself, "This does not belong to me." Say it without resistance. Say it without judgment, not to deny the experience, but to loosen your grip on it. When joy appears, notice it. When fear arises, notice that too. Let each moment pass through, like water moving through open hands. This practice is not about becoming distant or cold. It is about releasing the need to control what was never meant to be owned. At first, this may feel uncomfortable. The mind prefers familiar tension over unfamiliar freedom. But with patience, something softens. Awareness grows. Reactivity fades. And slowly, space opens inside a quiet place where peace is no longer something you chase, but something you allow. In the end, the message is not one of loss, but of release. Nothing in this life truly belongs to us, not our possessions, not our roles, not even the body we live in. At first, this truth can feel unsettling, but when seen clearly, it carries an unexpected kindness. If nothing is truly ours to own, then we are no longer required to protect everything with fear. We are no longer responsible for keeping life frozen in place. We are free to participate without possession, to care without control, and to love without gripping tightly. Freedom does not come from having more. It comes from seeing more clearly, from recognizing that peace is not created by holding on, but by understanding the nature of what we hold. When attachment softens, the heart follows. Anxiety loosens its grip. The mind no longer needs to fight against change. Life is allowed to move, and in that movement, we move with it rather than against it. This is not a conclusion meant to convince or instruct. It is an invitation. an invitation to observe your own experience gently, to notice what you are holding, and to ask, without judgment, what might happen if you held it just a little more lightly. In that space, many discover a quiet relief, a sense of being understood, a feeling of lightness that does not depend on circumstances, not because life has become certain, but because the struggle to control it has finally begun to rest.